Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. In about 2.5 hours or so, there will be a vote on the floor of the House of Commons. That vote is whether to uphold the suspension of Margaret Ferrier for 30 days or not. If the suspension is upheld, and it is 99.9% sure that it will be upheld, then at that moment a recall petition will be issued. And as I mentioned before, both Labour and the Tories, and indeed the Lib Dems, have been out in force garnering their support and making sure that should it come, they will definitely have the 10% required to force a by-election. That's going to be an absolutely assured point. The Labour Party already say they have got enough votes alone to make sure that happens. When you add the Tories and the Lib Dems, that will for sure happen. And so, by about another 3 hours or so, the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West will be looking to see who their next MP will be, because of course it won't be Ferrier. Whether she has the grace to resign remains to be seen. I suspect not, though. I suspect she'll sit for the full 30 days of suspension. She'll then come back for whatever days that are left until the by-election. She needs to ensure she gets her money and whatever goes into her pension pot, because they're all greedy and grasping. And she knows that once she leaves, she's virtually unemployable. But we'll take a look at this article. It's very quick. And it is sort of the Ferrier story, or the Ferrier story is coming slowly to an end. There remains really very little left on this, apart from the election itself, I suspect. But we'll have a look and see what's going on. Here goes. So, MPs set to vote on Margaret Ferrier's 30-day suspension. Margaret Ferrier's 30-day suspension from the House of Commons looks to be set to be confirmed today, triggering a recall election in the Rutherglen, or rather the recall petition, should I say, in the Rutherglen and Hamilton West. They have to get that petition first and then push on for the election. But as I said in the opening there, that petition is more or less guaranteed. The Parliamentary Standards Committee recommended the unprecedented sanction for the former SNP's COVID rule breaches at the height of lockdown. If MPs back the lengthy punishment in a vote at around 5 p.m. this afternoon, the Speaker will then notify the petitions officer in South Lanarkshire, who will then open a recall petition, with the signing stations opened all across the constituency. And as I say, Labour have been out in force. They've been sort of pushing their supporters, backing them to say, look, when this comes, if and when this comes, but now it's when this comes, go out there, sign this for us. We need to get, and I think it's something, it's quite low. It's something like only about 4,000 signatures, something like that. And if they can get that 4,000 or 5,000 signatures, then that's it. This goes through. But of course, you've got the Tories doing the same, the Lib Dems doing the same. Hell, you've probably got the SNP out there, and there'll be a lot of independents going and doing it just out of badness, I suppose. Anyway, if over the course of the next 6 weeks, 10% of her constituents add their names to the petition, Miss Ferrier will lose her job and triggering a by-election. The moment they hit that recall election, she's done. That's it. She's finished. But that will happen probably in days. It won't be they have 6 weeks to do it. But literally as soon as they hit the 10%, that's it. It's done. And they will hit that, I think, possibly even before the end of this weekend. If they get the papers out and open up those books today or tomorrow, then possibly by the end of the weekend they will have those signatures. It's going to be that quick because everybody's fed up with it. Anyway, it's not clear how many of her former SNP colleagues will vote to effectively end the disgraced politician's career. The party's one MP on the Common Standards Committee backed attempts to soften the punishment. Alan Dorrans voted for Ferrier to be suspended for 9 sitting days, and had that passed it would have killed off any chance of a recall petition. Under the procedure established in the wake of the expenses scandal, it can only be triggered by a suspension of at least 10 sitting days. I think it's possible that there'll be some SNPs voting for it. Certainly a couple of her own side have said to well, I say her own side, she's not SNP anymore, she lost the whip, but there's been people in the SNP who've suggested that she should actually just resign rather than pushing all this, so it'd just be easier for everyone. But of course she's not going to resign, she needs the money. Anyway, Joanna Cherry also criticised colleagues, saying the way Ferrier had been treated by some in the SNP was shameful. She said she's a thoroughly decent woman who made a bad mistake for which she has already paid dearly. Well, no, she hasn't. She broke the rules and she has to pay for the rule. You cannot invent these rules and then break them freely. Otherwise, you send out all the wrong signal. So we have to ask why Joanna Cherry's so protective. Or has Cherry got a little secret about travelling with COVID she's hoping that desperately doesn't come out? Anyway, as the vote is expected at 5 p.m. on Thursday afternoon, like I say, probably about another 3 hours from now, it is likely that some SNPs will be travelling back to Scotland. So they'll use that excuse, I've already left for the day, so that they don't have to vote for or against. There's a history of that in the SNP, isn't there? Running away from votes. Nevertheless, the SNP has confirmed that they will officially campaign for Ferrier to lose her seat. Under the Recall Act of 2015, parties, organisations and individuals can register with the petitions officer and spend up to £10,000 on the petition. Ferrier was found guilty of culpable and reckless conduct at Glasgow Sheriff Court last August after she admitted travelling on a train in September 2020 despite knowing she had COVID. And of course that was that. She got a punishment then, but there is a separate punishment for the parliamentary rules, and that has to be part of it. The Parliament are the ones making the bloody rules, aren't they? So, the MP also spoke in the House of Commons and visited a number of locations in Glasgow, including a mass in Mungo's Church and a bar in Prestwick in Ayrshire, while waiting for the results of the COVID test. And after a positive result came through, she lied to colleagues and said she had to go home to visit a sick relative. She was ordered to carry out 270 hours of community service after pleading guilty to willfully exposing people to the risk of infection, illness and death. And in Scotland, that's the same punishment as if you do a terrible thing to a child. That's the Scottish courts for you. In his investigation, Daniel Greenberg, the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards, said Ms Ferrier had breached the paragraph 11 of the MP's Code of Conduct by placing her own personal interest of not wishing to self-isolate immediately. And it's just blah 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 saying what she broke the rules on. So there we go. We're going to have this. It's more or less certain to go through. The MPs have already said that they're not going to put up with it. They are going to basically, agree with this suspension. She's done. They put the recall petition out, and as I say, possibly even by the weekend, the 10% will have been hit. And the very moment that 10% hits, it's then an election is called at that point. And that's the moment she loses her job, loses her salary, and stops getting any pension contributions. So there should be, looking through the job ads, ex-MP, incapable of following orders, seeks employment, preferably 60 to 70,000 a year, not very educated, not very clever, can't do much. Good luck. Anyway, I shall round up and come up. Oh, how we enjoy it when the mighty fall. They brought it in themselves, She sits there, she helps makes the rules, votes on these rules, breaks the rules, and then moans when she gets a punishment. Well, this punishment is the end of her career. And quite right too. Absolutely fantastic. I do look forward to seeing how quickly the 10% has been reached. Like I say, I'm going to make an estimate here that it'll be the end of this weekend. It's a long weekend, Monday. Yes, a Monday. Everyone will be out Monday. Bang. She'll have that. I reckon by the close of play Monday evening, they'll have hit their 10%, and that'll be the end of her. Then they'll call the election, and I'm going to call it here. I don't know the result. Obviously, anything might happen, but I'm going to call it, and you can go back and you can say, oh, he was right or he was wrong. It doesn't matter. I'm going to call it, and I'm going to say Labour win this seat. Wouldn't put money on it, but I'm gonna, because I don't gamble. But I will be very happy in being, congratulated if right and ridiculed if wrong. You can ridicule me freely if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say I think Labour will win this. Anyway, that'll round us off for today on that one. So there you go. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, but mostly leave that like. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, roll on the election, and goodbye.